its blossoms. I was raised in a lion's. Hai usato armi e non sai come fermar.
Here we are with another episode of Dialogues with Interesting People, and I'm very happy and honored to be with the jazz singer, and not only jazz, but in some sort also world singer, because she experiments, she does many other kind of things that can be related to jazz, but in a wider term than the classical jazz term. That is Sonia Ziccardi. She's an excellent, I don't say young singers, even if sometimes we say that, because she's really doing something important and interesting, so not so young in what she's doing. And as usual, we let the space to let her say something about her background, what she likes, what she loves, her passions in life, also not to do with music. Hi, Sonia. Nice to have you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sonia. I'm 29 years old. And yes, I am a jazz singer, but not only a jazz singer. In my life, I love reading, going out with my friends and talking about life with my friends, and playing piano and singing every time.
A bit of your background. Did you study jazz? Did you study jazz singing? Did you graduate or what? How is it your path to jazz?
I studied jazz singing at the Conservatory of Latina near Rome 4 years ago. But I started with modern singing, pop singing, not jazz, since my 14 years old, and to my 20 years, and then I started to study in jazz singing. And I graduated in this subject at the conservatory. Then I graduate in a master of improvised music with some dancers in Rome. To experiment new material, new music with some masters in Rome, as Daniele Roccato, for example, and started a new path. With these dancers in oddio.
You can say in Italian. I will translate for you if I can.
Okay. I wanted to talk about the my path with dancers, and it was and it is very useful to study and very well in depth my voice and understand what are the possibilities of my voice, and the jazz singing was not an according to me when I was young the correct path to explore this way.
just a question. When you work with dancers, do you feel that you can, how can I say, influence in some sort their movements and their rhythm with the voice? And especially, have you found that you have to change sometimes the way you approach voice to get effective, to influence and to move them? Because this is something that I used to, it happens to me because I'm a little more punk than some other singers. And no, I like to play, I like to joke a bit and I like to provoke a bit, just for fun, you know, just to say, I use some internal movements or some vibrations because I feel that I can answer their movement and to push or change a bit their movements, you know. It's like a phrase, you change the phrase of the dancer, and that's very fun because you realize that you do dance gestures inside that gets the reality of the vibration, or just yet the movement with the vibration without yet the volume of the sound. And this is something that in the space, it goes physically to the public, to the dancers, to the musicians, to the band. And it's fun because sometimes you feel that they don't perceive what you're doing. They just see themselves moving differently. They don't know why. And others, they're there, they say, okay, I'll play tennis with you like that. That is where my punk artistic vibe gets. Yeah, we dance together. Yeah, we dance together.
Yes.
You see that, or it was for you something completely different from that, and you have another kind of way of communication with them?
No, it is the same for me because the perfect word that I want to use is connection. Working with dancers, it is useful to connection with the other, to connect with the other, and to me as well. So it seems a game as playing a tennis, where I sing a note and there's a dancer who move an arm, for example, and it seems as the note and arm travel together,
Yeah.
and in the same way. So it is beautiful and helpful to understand that in music and in dance, in every art, there's a connection. And before of that, I didn't understand this. I thought about my own path without feeling the art, and it is strange for an artist or a singer generally think about this, but it was there was this thought when I was young. Now it is different, but it is hard work, hard job for me to try to find always a connection with the others, but to me in particular.
Last question about this. Do you feel that the connection is with the artist and human being, or do you feel a connection into a shared vision or into a discovered vision, unique that comes from this connection, and you see while this connection is happening?
Not always. I understand the connection, but I not ever I understand the disconnection. Non so se ho capito bene la domanda, però.
I repeat in Italian, sorry. Quello che dicevo era: trovi la connessione con l'artista e con il ballerino singolarmente e dal punto di vista umano, oppure la trovi all'interno di una visione che avete in comune, oppure, altra possibilità, trovate una visione che vedete dopo che vi siete connessi. O nessuna delle tre. Because no, in this, just for the public, I don't think there is a correct answer. I think there are paths and there are ways that are different from one another. That's why we make those dialogues for which we experiment, we experience, and we see, and we find in such different ways that it's interesting to see the different ways, because I don't think there is one that is true. I think there are many that are true. And I don't know if they get to the same at the end. I have no idea. This, perhaps yes, perhaps no.
It is a good question, because it is not expected for me. I love being or feeling in love with the other artists. Before to create something in relation to the art, it is difficult for me to have a relation with the others, without knowing the others, taking living apart, the human aspects. In fact, in some works, if I don't know the people who I collaborate with, I try to know them with their interests in life, and also in music, because I have to understand what is his visual in life, but also in music, and then I understand if these two aspects are in sympathy with with me and my art, if it's possible. But if I have to have a job, if I have to work with other only for work, I don't ask me all these things. But if I have to create something new, I need this.
Okay. I know that you have a side as a writer of poetry.
Yeah.
That is it intertwined with the singing and the music? Or has it come from a place of songwriting, for example? Or is it completely just another way of you to be into the world and into creativity, or into your needs as human being? Because sometimes we do those things just for our human being needs, because it's not enough just to eat and to have a home. We want to eat something else and have another kind of home as sometimes more important even than the physical one.
Another good question.
I don't know. I try.
I love writing, but it is a need, because when I was young, I can't communicate emotionally with my parents, and so I had the need to put down my thought on a secret diary, for example, and I have with me nowadays in my in adult life. But apart this, I during the COVID period, I need the I wanted to write something about my thought of that specific period, and it was an intimate period, so I started to write my own thought, and without thinking about this, I released a book, a poetry book, but I didn't want to become a writer. But I started to think that this book and this thought can be a search for other people, to understand their own thought emotionally, and to try to communicate with the others, and also with us, and maybe the COVID period was a long moment where people can talk to other people with clarity, maybe, but also with their own person. And
sorry, no, you were finished. I thought you finished. Sorry.
And then I started a collaboration with other writers, poets, and they asked to me to write new poems about silence for a particular subject, or also with a book about Pierpaolo Pasolini, and now there are other collaborations with another poetry company in Italy. I wrote other two poems with, and then it is now it is more than a need.
Did you start when you were writing? You knew that you wanted to publish, or you had no idea and it came at the end? I repeat in Italian. Quando le stavi scrivendo, da qualche parte o avevi in mente che le avresti pubblicate, o ti è venuto alla fine?
Okay.
O quando?
Okay. I didn't think about publish something. I wanted only writing, and without thinking about my possible writer future. But during the month when I wrote, I thought that it could be something that could be remain on a sheet with for the others, not only for me. So it was a path in the path.
I wanted to ask you. No, I forgot. If I come back, I will do it. And now we go with the usual fixed questions. What is it to be a musician and an interpreter in this epoch? So plenty of music, meaning so plenty of accessible music and of music archives. That is something that in human history is quite recent, and from a creativity point of view, even if the written music from a certain century was accessible to musicians with background and a capacity and a craft, all this constant exposure to music and new music and this kind of creativity that has become pretty diffused in nearly everybody as a daily need, that is quite nice, I have to say, but at the same time it's quite a huge thing. How is it for you? How does it feel?
Being a musician in this chaotic world is very difficult for me, because I feel to be a very emotional person. So thinking about this this way to move constantly in music, it is very stressful and because I feel very many competitions and competitor, but I don't think that it is there's only this way to do music as competitors in the world. I think that in Italy there's this strange way to communicate, talking about, for example, I did this kind of music, and what about you? And I think that there's are not questions to know about the others, but to understand their own path, and understand consequentially to what is the level of the other person. But
it is the musical level or the status level?
I hope that there is not, but it seems that so. I don't want that there's a level to or a mark to identify a person. You are in this way, you do this music, and it is very there's a lot of anxiety about this. But I was saying about Italy because I started to collaborate with foreign musicians, Iranian in particular, and they at the beginning of January, and I saw and I felt a new kind of music, but not as traditional in Iranian music in doing music with the others. So it was very beautiful and relaxed, with in relation to the approach with the other as the same kind of person who plays music, and that's all. So so you take notes, you know, you are this musician, okay, then you do this kind of music. Now abroad, maybe in my own path, outside of Italy, musicians don't take notes about you. They know you as you are, and that's all.
But as we said with others, Italy is coming out from a period of decadence in some sort. I'm very trustful that Italy is coming out completely from that, but it has been quite long. It happens in historic periods to have some periods of that kind, and sometimes after you have a very productive creative period, but during is a bit of a constraint, constant, and even if it's like if reality didn't apply. The reality as we know that works well in the same way everywhere, just is not recognized for this historic period. as reality. They recognize after. And they say, wow, this thing, yeah, okay. Sometimes we are lucky enough that we traverse this period and we get at the end while we are still alive. And so, but doing well, I know that it always, doing well means doing in a certain way, because the process is what we can share and we can teach and we can say one to the other to advise and to help, not where we go and the path. These are personal choices and they are evolving all the time, but the process, it's something that remains quite similar, and I know that works pretty well all the time, no matter what. I'm very happy that you are finding this different kind of, because it's great nourishment for us, the artists, because you have, how can I say, the nourishment for the correct process to say, yeah, okay, so there is an anomaly somewhere, and I can be active and good and kind into without too much fight against, because otherwise you become a bit as what you're fighting against, as we know. But this nourishment makes you, okay, it still reacts. So even here it will react. There it's more clear that it reacts. Okay, I can relax a little part into myself and going on like that, because I know that, yeah, it's getting what I wanted. Just is delayed the correct reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you searching for your voice? And when I say voice in this question, I don't relate it just to the actual singing voice or technical voice, but I say voice in a wider terms. Mm. That can be also the poetry, a side of your voice, you know? I don't know. How are you searching for your voice?
I was thinking about only a word, freedom, for my voice, because during my studies I and now but with another way to think about it, I think about my voice as a technical voice, and as a soprano voice you have this range, and that's all. But I'd like to think about my voice as a free voice, to able to travel in my body, but also outside my body as well, and to communicate with others, and not thinking about only my voice as a common voice, but a voice with emotions, as with sensibility, as I am, I think, and so not as arranged to go where I have to go, and that's it. Freedom is the answer to this question.
Thank you. Are collaborations important?
Collaborations are very important to establish a relation with artists, but not as artists only, but as human being. It is very, very important to me talking about life in the art, and I think that I can do this with a person who I have a special relationship with.
What is art to you? Oh, we had all kind of answers. One also thought that I was asking heart. That if you think it is a he art, some sort related. Yeah. Don't worry, we don't do the thing of the genre, of the gender, because we used to.
Art. Art is love. It's love for me.
And then ask you, what is love for you?
There's no answer, so I thought about it. Art is love. You're clever.
I tried. Okay, you know. It would be the century answer if you had it.
Love and art can't be explained.
But we understand when they are present. That is fantastic. When they manifest, is evident. To explain, it's a bit more difficult. Yeah. In some sort, it's like voice to me. I say we can control it, we can have it. To really understand, a bit more complicated and not required to control it. We have to understand some. But at the end, to really understand, when I have my students and I say, you know, I have the idea that I really understand a lot about voice and more than some others. But I think some years ago, I said, a couple of years ago, I said, I think the maximum I can understand on voice, it's perhaps 33%. Now I went down, I said, how arrogant I was. No, I said, perhaps it's an 11%, you know. And I said, but don't worry, because we can control it quite well. We don't need to understand to control it. And in some sort, it's like art and love. We have a nose, have something to get there. And at the same time, if we don't have that, when it's so self-manifesting that it's evident, it's there, you say, yeah, that's it, yeah. You know, in Molière, L'École des Femmes, it manifested and it went even when taken into closure and completely segregation, not to experiment that. We will get to that because it's into, how can I say, our inner process of being human beings and not only human beings. Because it's something that we see everywhere, in every being and in every aspect of the universe. So it's well, thank you. Do you look for what when looking for art? Yeah, I don't have the answer. No, I'm joking. You say the answer you want. What do you look for when you look for art?
I answer with the same.
Okay, fantastic. I usually ask these on the other repertoire, but for you I will ask for poetry. Because in some sort, it's another side. Is this other kind of creative access you have and you experiment and especially you're using, in what place in relation to your singing or your music in the artistic creative process? Is it on the side? Is it a second skin? Is it a different layer of you or what? Layer is a surface, okay? Different level.
Ok, ma non so se ho capito la domanda però.
I repeat in Italian.
Sì.
La poesia, lo scrivere, rispetto alla tua musica, al tuo cantare, che posto prendono nel processo creativo? Un piatto di lato, qualcosa, come dire, un accompagnamento, una seconda pelle o un differente strato di te?
Okay. Two years ago, I didn't think about this connection about writing and music. In fact, a poet asked me to put some notes or music in my poetry, and I was a little bit weird about this request, because it was not a need to me create a bond between them. I wrote and I sang. Now I write and I sing, and I put notes under writing, but not always. I try a connection if I have a particular need to do that, but it is not something that I do because I have to do this. I like leaving alone my words and leaving alone my music without words. In some new projects that I have, I'm working to. I try to talk about my music and my thought with music and lyrics together, because it is important to communicate to the others with all of me. So it is a necessity. And but when I write only poems, I think to writing without music. I don't think about one note, nothing.
What is it to present something, meaning your original pieces or your jazz music, in Italian musical vibe? You answered partially before, but how is it the feeling into the specificity of Italian musical vibe, and especially jazz vibe?
Cioè, cosa sento rispetto al...
Cosa senti presentandoti e presentando la tua musica rispetto alla vibe specifica italiana?
I think it is not a good sensation for that competition aspect. That I feel very strong in Italy, in the little town of Rome, where I live. There's something or someone that want to leave a mark about you. But it is my my feeling. I don't want to say that it is the true truth, but I feel very strong to me. So I feel sometimes wrong about my music and my person, not only as artist but as a human being. Something, and it is not
something that I really don't like in Italy yet. That they translate something that they don't say straightforward into some judgment on the person and making you feel in that it's something. If you think about Måneskin, for example, or I have an ex-student that is doing the same thing, and I'm very happy that she does this thing, and we talked about a little, is that they had to go playing on the streets to take away this constant feeling and to build the reality they needed to, and how can I say, the context they needed, the environment they needed to grow. And this is fantastic because, as I say always, don't matter where you are, you can create the environment you need to grow correctly and not just get into overreaction over the environment. And usually in that way, you will connect with those doing the same thing and with those doing in some similar ways of you, and then you get to grow much more into the refinement of your craft. And that is why now Måneskin are getting really fastly where their talent, their capacity are, and they are, I'm going to say, overgrowing the expectation of people, because they couldn't realize that how they were in Sanremo was not how they were, but they were the sign of how they did. How they were, nobody could say. And when I heard them, I said, I'm so happy, and you deserve to win. Why? Because we feel that you are in the process so correct, so on point, that I don't see where your potential is, but I see you are doing the process so well that, yeah. And now they are showing some of their potential, and it's very interesting. Very interesting. They didn't have to. I mean, you have to do the process, and as some huge musician has said, you don't need to get renowned or the A series. You have to understand that the process will bring you where you are, and you will be happy there. And this is, how can I say, in Italy, when I was still in Italy, it was strong for me to try to give the strength and the dignity to my students to say, don't worry now, because from the starting point to the medial level, and from the medial level to be you, it is there that Italy is not a good environment now, but doesn't mean that you have to change according to the environment, because they're not doing something according to creativity and your growing. They're doing something else. So if you want to do something else, you adapt to this environment. If you want to do music, you go on with the same process, and you're going to strengthen yourself so well by doing correctly, even if the environment, the medium part is not correct, that you will find the growth you want, sometimes even before the others, because the environment is not so beneficial, but you can do it. And when they did that, they all had from other countries, from other places, from Italy too, wow, they're fantastic. I couldn't believe. Wow, why? Because if you ask the process, and in what genre or doesn't matter. There is the one that sings and do music to make people dance. And she's fantastic in that. She's really fantastic. People told me, but she doesn't have to be different from what she is. Because she's happy like that. And she's perfect. And she's absolutely high level there. There are so many niche of public and of musicians and of needs that you will find yours. Even in Italy. Even in Italy. Now I have the impression that it's breaking this medium thing. There is more light and more bridges and more windows. But I know that sometimes can be really confusing. I'm sorry for that. Yeah. And can be harsh personally because they can't attack what you're doing, so they attack you in some sort. But it's always weak when they do that. I see now with a lot of kindness the weakness from which this comes. Because a strong point doesn't need that. But I know that it can be disturbing. It can be disturbing and not really very nice. We do the best to, say, okay, I do a little meditation, I write a bit, things, I go for a walk, I love the sun, I put myself in the sun, and then I regenerate a bit and I come back doing music. And I try not to disturb the creative process and the love for music and the love for, because we try to protect that because it's so precious and so nice and such a good garden that doesn't require to be positive and the negative of the musical vibe of Rome or the little place in which you are near Rome.
In relation to music,
everything you want.
Everything.
Anything can be the food, can be something that they don't know that is the sky of Rome, that is a drug.
Okay.
Because you can just look at the sky in Rome and be happy.
Okay.
And the thing is, so you can just get entranced by the sky of Rome. Yeah.
I live not in Rome, but in a little town near Rome called Guardia. And there are some differences between this town to Rome. First of all, the fresh air that I breathe every day. And in Rome, it is very tricky to breathe. It is a quiet a town, but it is very far to the life, because it is a town completely in nature, and I love nature, but I need to move to Rome or other cities near to go to the concerts, or to going out with friends, going to books presentation, for example. So where there's some life that here in this town it is not so possible. If you are retired, you can live in this town.
If you are retired, want to be just on your own, probably. But
Right.
from it's not that far, so.
No.
No, sometimes it's very nice to be on the side of the town.
Yeah.
To the town when you want.
Not always, but so. Little bit.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was very nice. As usual, you will have all the information about her down in the description, and some of us singing after that will not be recorded today, but it will be on the, yeah, of course, as usual. Thank you very much, Sonia.
Okay. Bye.
And thank you for this episode of Dialogues. I hope you enjoyed as the others.
Thank you to you, Lucia.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mandar nei giorni in cui non c'è giustizia per i più, urli forte per le vie, libertà, catene su di me, nessuna dignità, ma conosci il rimedio che cambiar potrà. Some good. I'm Gina Lala Brigida. I aerate Riding Hood. If you don't like my peaches, baby, why do you shake my tray?